credit scoring. Right now, lending on blockchain requires huge collateral. And so if you imagine a world where you're relying on more sensitive data to create some sort of credit profile for someone, you might allow for more freely flowing more by someone's credit profile than by a true credit profile, rather than these credit scores that exist today, rather than simply relying on a lot of collateralized lending up front. And that would allow for just an incredibly broader free flow of money, as well as, you can think about it sort of in similar to like a free flow of data in the first example. So that's really the future of the world that I see.
So how do you see that new credit score, the true credit score? Like, what do you think that looks like in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing a lot of companies start to do this, right? Which is they're pulling in data that goes beyond like usage of credit, and it goes into things like more data around your financial history, what your income is, what other sorts of income you might bring in, your educational background, rent, things that have typically not been a part of the data score. And I think a big fear now, of course, is that a lot of that data is just really sensitive. We've seen huge data breaches, take place, and so it's very scary to think about giving more and more of that data to a company. So again, like the nice thing about doing this on a blockchain network that has privacy as well, analysis on it, all while you retain ownership of that information yourself. You retain custody of it. So I think it can just unlock a lot of the things that we now find. One, companies are unincentivized to take, like the data is too sensitive for them to risk a breach. And two, individuals are too scared to want to let go of or want to give access to.
It's so ridiculous. I mean, we both just moved to Puerto Rico, and we have medical records and dental records and, optician records back in, our home states. And why do I have to call to have that sent somewhere else? I should be able to just pull that up with my key and send to the new doctor the components that I want them to see.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's a great example, which is if you can carry it with you, it's much easier then to decide when and how you disseminate it. And there should be some simple way that you're retaining the key and access to that data at all times, not a bunch of...
I am the key. I'm carrying it with me. Now, there are those that would be on the nefarious side that say, oh yeah, we're all for you carrying the key. Here, let us put this chip on your body.
Yeah.
And that is the shadow, the dark side, the dystopian side of owning your data, when you own it so closely that you actually can be monitored while you're
that's right. Yeah, I mean, I think as is true with any new system, like there's always some risks, right? And it's not even risks, it's like for every real innovation there's always some downside that we need to try to mitigate, I think, when we think about it. So the simplest answer here is like education is really important, but you have to find a way to do that reduces friction. Like no one wants to be lectured on how to help hold their data or store it. The second is I do think there's a world where you have some amount of like a data steward role, where instead of picking a large company or not even having a choice, a lot of individuals are given some opportunity to give or have someone hold custody of it for them that they do trust. And so I think similarly to, if you think about it in, around DeFi, where we have some people want to hold their key, they use a hardware wallet to hold everything and wear it around their neck, all the time. Other people will choose to use a professional custodian where that information sits, and maybe they retain the key, maybe they don't, but they feel that that's a trusted provider. But the other important part here is that they remain in control of it. They have decision-making power in a way that they may not in a bank, and they know exactly what that money or those tokens are being used for at any given time. And so in the future, I think you can see a similar world or economy really being built, an ecosystem around data as well, where you have a choice of, maybe I really believe I should hold on to it at all times, I'll keep it with me, or I'm giving it to some steward or custodian to protect it, and maybe even advise me on what to do with it. But I think the real shift here is that I ultimately will have control in central computing and blockchain technology, so privacy and blockchain. So